What's up, guys? I'm Jake Road, and I'm here joined with
Devin Ortega.
Zan Nelson.
and welcome back to another episode on the All My Friends Are Warriors podcast. So today we have another Zoom with Rusty
Nasser.
Yeah.
Nasser, yeah,
No, so that's right. That's correct. That's correct.
also known as the Rusty the Walking Man. So to get into
That's
it,
correct.
can you tell
Yeah.
us a little bit about that story and how you earned the nickname the Walking Man?
I don't know when it cut off, but I went to Ole Miss. If you've heard of the college before,
Yep.
Mhm.
and when I got out, I was 22 years old. A year later, this is kind of looking back where the story started. We were hunters. We hunted down here in the South, and I got shot duck hunting by a shotgun from my first cousin at 40 feet, and it knocked me off my feet, and it left me blind in my right eye. And I had numerous surgeries of this. After that, about 8 years later, the doctor told me I had a kidney infection, which I don't think I had to this day. He gave me all these antibiotics to take. It ate my stomach lining out and a hole in my stomach, and I was actually bleeding to death in ICU for 5 weeks. And they gave me 15 units of blood, staph infection, and I didn't even think I was going to come out of there. That was really more serious than being shot, if that can make sense.
Yeah.
But I walked out of the hospital, and after that, I worked in my family business. You know, I got married, and we did all this, and we moved from where I grew up 3 hours south of here,
Mhm.
and ended up. My ex-wife took off, and that was all a mess, and so forth. Then they got me back into power walking marathons.
Okay.
Now, I grew up an athlete. I played football. I played baseball. I played basketball. I ran track. We swam. We played tennis. We did all this stuff. So I was always inclined for athletic ability.
Mm-hmm.
And I started walking, and I started racing. And the name, the Walking Man, came up. The local newspaper here wanted to do an interview, and I wouldn't do the interview because at that time, I would not talk about the story at all. And my friend said, "You got to go up here and tell this story. Go up there and tell the story." So I agreed to go up there. And the newspaper named me the Walking Man because I would train every morning in the streets of Oxford, Mississippi, every day, Monday through Saturday, and over and over and over. And I went up there and did the interview, and I knew they would put it. I knew they'd put it in paper somewhere. I didn't know they were going to put it on the whole front page of the paper, and they did. And then came the state newspaper, and they put it on the front page of the sports section. Then came the USA Today. They came down here and did a story. They did made a video. The video is still on the internet today. And then they stuck it in the Associated Press. And at that time, I was racing all over the country. In no particular order. I was going to Boston, New York, the Carolinas, Nashville, Tennessee, Dallas, Texas, Los Angeles, California, Eugene, Oregon, Kansas City, Missouri, and I came back and won a title at it. And that is the essence of the book, of which I would not write. And it was upon the essence of ESPN. They told me to write the book, and I wouldn't do it. And when they got a hold of the local newspaper here, of which I have copies of all this stuff, they told me, write the book. So I wrote the book. And actually, I got another one coming out.
Mhm.
But it's the story in between there was the up and the down. There was about 3 years there where life got upside down. And what I mean by that, nothing bad ever happened, but it got it just got upside down.
Yeah.
And I went from, having all the way up here to all the way down there, and it was having the knowledge and the discipline of which my father taught me to walk through the crap. I don't, I got divorced. I don't even talk to my brothers and sisters to this day because of something they did. I got into the media, NBC, ABC, CBS, and they were telling me something else was going on more so than what I thought. And that's, you have to think about this, and you got to push through it. And I did. And it's to get away from them. They left me down in Jackson, Mississippi on the side of the road, and I actually slept in the woods for 3 nights to get away from them. And the things that I walked through, I don't know if most people could even survive that. You have to be real cognizant of what's going on around you to be able to survive this.
Definitely.
And it's kind of it's a story that we have since then have written a screenplay about this, and hopefully they're going to make a movie about this. But I've walked and I've trained and I walked every day, and I am today pushing 78,000 miles out there in the street.
Dang, that's crazy.
And what they want me to tell now, more of when you get up in the morning. I get up at 4:30 every morning, and I would walk out there. I walk for 3 or 4 hours a morning out there, and that's what it took though to do what I was doing. And got in shape. I am still in shape. I am 70 years old. I am 5'11", 190 pounds. And the one thing that I work on every single day is my quickness. I've always been quick-footed, running track. We were fast. Playing football, we were all fast. And my quickness and my speed is what pushed me and let me get to where I was. But I work on that every day. You have to work on this. You can't you can't take it for granted. No, you can't do it at all, guys.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's kind of the basis of the story. That's the basis of what everybody knows. I had a producer came, and we did 4 documentaries that were put on YouTube for a long period of time. And the man was from New Zealand. He moved back. He took his platform down. I have the copies of the documentaries, and we go through all this stuff. We went through this, whatever happened, and put it, 30-minute documentaries. So it's all been good. I've done some podcasts. I did one with a book author and a former actor who owns his own TV station, and he put it in England, and he put the story in Australia. I am in what they call the Associated Press over there. So actually, I've been around for a while, but I'm not a stranger out here at all to many people. I am probably in these big run groups. I do get on Instagram quite often, but my cup of tea has seemed to be Facebook. And I have been in all these big groups, and I probably on my own in contact with about 12 million, 13 million people a day.
Oh, wow.
Because I post every day. I post here too, but I post every day out there, So that's kind of the basis of the story. And I will let you ask me the questions, and I would be glad to answer you.
Honestly, you're like a hometown hero. They called you the Walking Man, the newspaper. I mean,
yes,
you've blown up. You're famous now. And
one of the things that I did on my own, and I'm not pushing this, I'm just saying I did this. When they named me the Walking Man, I took that name and came up with a logo, and I copyrighted all this stuff. I copyright everything I do, and I make my own hats. I get them made in Parkers and stuff, and I just sell them. I sell them to people all day long. It's just something that I enjoy doing. Everything I did and I do, I enjoy it, because if you enjoy what you're doing, you'll always be successful.
It's
You'll
like,
never get up and go to work. You'll never get up and go to work a day in your life, and that's the way I feel. You never get up and go to work a day in your life.
yeah, you have to love your journey and love what you do, or you won't be
Absolutely,
successful in life.
absolutely, absolutely. And I tell them I tell people every single day, if you don't like what you're doing, get the hell out of it, because you're not going to be successful.
Hmm.
And I try to. People ask me questions almost every day. I see people and talk to them, and I tell them, when you have life experiences of what I did and what happened to me, I wouldn't wish my story on anybody. But I use that as a catalyst to help other people, to point out what you have to do to be successful. And I guess the number one thing that I always tell people is, don't ever give up.
Hmm.
Don't ever give up from life, because it's never too late. It's never too late. I wouldn't have thought, I didn't think when I first started that it would turn into what it did, but it kept happening correctly, correctly, correctly. And I try to push that on everybody is, you know, that that one extra step might make the change in your whole life. That one extra step.
Hmm. I mean, everything happens for a reason, and
Yes,
you might not see it in the moment, like when you had both those fatal incidents that could have led to death. You didn't see that that would eventually push you to where you are today. In the moment, you didn't see that, but now looking back on it, those moments made you who you are to this day.
that is totally correct. Because the one part that I never really talk about, but I have talked about it a little bit lately, is when I was in ICU, and they asked me one day in a talk, you know, well, the guy did on the that was an actor. Did I have the life experience? Did I see the light or whatever? And I said, yes, I did. I did see the light. I thought it was meant to be, because there was something happened, and they thought I thought I was. They said I was having a panic attack. I don't know why, because I couldn't even hardly barely move. But I saw the light. I saw, like, my life went in front of me, but then I woke back up.
Hmm.
Okay. And from that moment on, everything that I thought was not important became important.
Yeah.
And then the other stuff fell. And I'll never forget that part. But you have to live that to be able to understand that.
Right.
Yeah. One of my questions was, if you want to answer it, if you don't really want to, no pressure, but do you have a relationship with God? And if so, how has that
Oh,
helped you?
yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Most definitely I do, because I've been asked that question numerous times. And I said, guys, if you don't think a man that has been as close to death to me, that I went through, that, you don't think I got a relationship with God, you are dead wrong.
Yeah.
Because it is the reason that he is the reason that I'm here.
Hmm.
Okay. Because is people have told me all the time, it wasn't your time. God has another plan for you. And I believe that. I really believe that. I might not have told you that 6 or 7 years ago, but I would sit here today and tell you, yes, that is most definitely uh, correct.
Yeah. No, I think going back to what we were talking about earlier, realizing your journey and the obstacles that are put into your life, I think everything happens for a reason. So these things that you've
It
gone through,
does.
these terrible things that you've gone through, help build you to where you are today, to help spread the message to people who are in need.
Yes, I try to help people. I try to tell people every day. It's sooner than you think. It's sooner out there than you think.
Hmm.
And you have to be aware of what you're doing every day, because what you do today is going to create your future for tomorrow.
Hmm.
Exactly.
And you have to be aware of what you're doing. Uh, and I don't try to lecture people about that, but I'll just say, you got to look, you got to go out here and go for the good in life, and you got to stay up top. It's too easy to get bogged down with the wrong people in the wrong situation. You got to know when to walk away from it. You just got to have that knowledge and that gut feeling to walk the hell away from it, because if you don't, you're going to be just like these people over here, and you will never achieve what you need to achieve.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lonely, in a way, it's a lonely life to go up top, because your circle is going to get smaller, but it's going to get more quality to your circle.
Yeah.
And that's one of the most important things I tell people. It does. It really does. If it's the law of attraction, if that makes sense.
Uh-huh.
If you go around here and you yourself, you hang around fellow podcasters or media people, then you yourself will get into the media. If you want to hang around, if you hang around 4 lawyers all your life, you'll probably be another lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
If you want to hang around people that are doing drugs and all that, then you're going to be you'll be in there too. So
Exactly.
I hung around athletes, so I became an athlete, and I hung around some book authors finally, and I became a book author. And hanging around a film producer who did the documentaries, he taught me about all this stuff. I've really have bought a lot of production equipment and used it for my own personal thing. But there again, I became what he taught me to do, and I enjoy it. I enjoy this,
Mm-hmm. Who you surround
But
yourself will make you who you are.
exactly, if you um,
I mean,
spend time by yourself, you'll find out who you are.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I can tell you, you're gonna spend some time by yourself out there, a couple weeks, a month, and you'll find out who you are.
Mm-hmm.
Most definitely.
Mm-hmm.
So
I think that's really important. Knowing thyself and knowing who you are truly is one of the most crucial things you could have in life. Because if you spend, all your time around all these people, and you get to know them and you become really close with them, but you don't truly know yourself.
sure,
If you don't truly know yourself, then you're missing the whole part of
that's true.
of why we're here. Essentially, I think.
Yeah, you got to know. You talk to anybody, you get along with everybody, but when you come down to your boundaries in life, you got to know when to step out there and when to pull your leg back and not go that direction, turn and go this way. Because people will use you and people will pull you down.
Yeah.
And I always tell people, they laugh at it. I said, if you're not being hated by somebody, then you're not going anywhere in life. If you go up the ladder to success, there are gonna be some people that hate on you, and because of jealousy. I don't do that at all.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I like everybody to do good, and I'll just but they always focus on the the training out there of what I did, and to walk like that every morning, because I had it in me. You got to learn the discipline enough to get up every morning and do it. And then I found out, it got easier as I went along. It got easier to get out there every day.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoy it. There again, if you enjoy what you do, you're going to be successful. And I went out there every single day. So,
what kind of inspired you to choose running as a way to fulfill your life and to keep going?
well, I knew when all that bad stuff was on me and I was getting, I had made up my mind. I made up my mind I was going to come back, because I missed a chance in life to do something that I should have done at a very young age. I wanted to come back for one reason. I wanted to see if I was good enough myself, to prove to myself. And number two, I chased that gold medal, and I did what I had to do. That was my point. I wanted this bad to go out there, so I was doing whatever I needed to do, and was doing it good to get to the next level and get to this level and go up and go up. And there's a lot of what you need to do in there it wasn't all easy now. You know, there are ups and downs in everything that you do.
Exactly.
But I, I was determined. But I wanted to see. I guess that would be the basic reason. I wanted to see if I was good enough.
Yeah.
And I had always exercised. I played a hell of a lot of basketball, even in college, uh, and I ran a lot in college, and I always stayed in shape, and I always took care of my body, and I do that to this day, and that has really paid off, you know. And I didn't really think about it at the time, but it does. It paid off, and that was it's not just staying in shape; it's health wise.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm at the age that I am. They asked me last week, you know, you take medication? No. High blood pressure? No. Diabetes? No. You know, salt, whatever. You don't have aches and pains? No. I don't take anything. The only thing I ever take, if my muscles get aching, or if I get a bad headache, I take some Advil, and that's all I take.
Healthy body, happy
A
soul.
lot of people, yeah, a lot of people think you get older, you go on all this medications. And no, I don't take anything. I never have. You know, uh, and I guess that is a tribute to staying in shape all your life.
Yeah.
And yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. I think with what goes along with, you pushing yourself every day to stay fit, you learn this
Hmm.
lesson of, okay, now that I've been doing this, I'm going to add on to that by not doing these things, by not taking these things, by not doing stuff that will help me or not that will hurt me in the long run. So, as a byproduct and of proxy of you doing that, I think you kind of gain that knowledge of, I'm not going to do this to my body.
No, when I picked up all the marathons and stuff, I knew the beneficial thing was I was like everybody else. You know, you go out and you'd have a few beers here and there, and you do. I just gave it up completely. I just gave it up. I
Mm-hmm.
walked away from it, and that that helped. You know, it's not that I'm against it. I'm not against it. I knew that I needed to give it up to stay healthy,
Mm-hmm. If you want
and
the
that's what I did.
Yeah, if you want the best possible chance of succeeding, I mean, you have to take away every possibility of not
You
succeeding.
do.
Take out any
You
fear.
cannot. That's right. You can't shortchange anything. If you're going to do it, go all the way,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what I do. You know, and I don't take it lightly, man. I, People can go and do what they want to do, but I'm going to do what I need to do to stay there. And I'm doing this on purpose here, so I can do this for y'all. Okay, but it's a real it's a journey that I guess few people can imagine, because you know everything turned out good on the upper end. It really did. But to as my preacher, and I wrote this in my book. I used to go talk to my preacher a long time ago about when I was going through the divorce and so forth, and he told me, and I quote him. He said, "Rusty, you're walking through hell." He said, "You know what hell looks like." He said, "Why do you want to stop in hell?" He said, "Just keep walking and you'll walk out the other side."
Yeah.
And that's what I did.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I did. So, you know, you give it all you got. You put your life into it, and the training was a lot of that. Uh, you know, it's if you want to be in elite status and what you do and be the best that you can be, then you got to go for it. You got to go grab it. You got to go after it. No matter what you had to do, you go do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know,
You can
So-
never stop.
Um,
no, don't stop.
you've shared a lot of knowledge with us, and you've shared a lot of wisdom of all these things of, like, not stopping, continuing through, persevering, right? So I had a question for
Right.
you. If you could choose
Okay.
like one message to spread to the younger generation or just people in general, what would your one message be? Would it be don't give up? Would it be start on that journey? Or what would your personal message be that you want to give out to everyone?
I've kind of talked about that to people before, and I would say, you know, if you have your mind set up that you want to do something, number one, they have to make up their mind. I want to do this. Okay, that puts you in a different mindset than everybody else. Number two, go the extra mile because it's never crowded. The
Mhm.
extra mile is never crowded, and I tell them that all the time. But it's also have to be, don't ever give up. I could have given up a long time ago. I could have laid down and stayed where I was, and maybe probably would have died by now. I don't know, but no, I'm up here. I'm feeling good. I'm doing good. I'm involved with all kind of stuff. With film production and movies and podcasts like you and the books and so forth. I talk to people every day, and if you stay motivated, things will come to you. It
Mhm.
comes to you, and I just try to be positive with everybody because some people they don't know how to get up, and I
Yeah.
try to help them get up. I mean, I can't do so much for them, but help them get up. You know, I've been, I guess, if you want to call it fortunate enough or unfortunate enough, I've known a lot of people in my life that have gotten on drugs and has taken them down. And I mean, a lot of them. I've seen this. It's like it's the same book every day, but a different chapter. And I know somebody in my hometown, and I'm not. When I say that, I'm not running buddies, but I know what's going on with them because they ask me. They think it's not going to happen to them. Well, they've lost their life. I've seen people have lost their marriages and their kids, even their farm. Uh, it's really a sad thing because you are not invincible, and everything that happens to you bad in life usually happens in a light switch
Mhm.
Mhm.
error. It's just like me. I'm on top of the world. I'm duck hunting. We're out here next to the Mississippi River, and in a split second, you know, it hits me. My eyesight's gone. It didn't take a second. It was over with. And that's what I tell people, that your tragedies in life happen very quickly to you,
Mhm.
and sometimes you can't undo them. You know.
Honestly,
Yeah.
it sounds like God has inspired you, and through God inspiring you, you've decided to help inspire other people and help millions of other people.
I certainly try. Uh, you know, one of my favorite sayings that came off a movie, the Western, that time, it said, uh, you get busy living or you get busy dying. I decided to get busy living, and that's what I did, But don't get me wrong, I have a hell of a good time out here. I cut up with folks and I have fun with them. We tell jokes, make everybody laugh, and but you still got to have that the discipline and the proudness to go out here and get what you want. And it takes effort. It
Mhm.
takes a hell of a lot of effort.
100%.
I,
I,
I do this every day, and I got a hell of a lot of tennis shoes. But I have fun buying them though. You just do that.
yeah, I think
So
everything valuable in life is going to take effort. If you want something good to happen in your life, you're going to have to put something and sacrifice something that you don't want to do for that cause. So if you want to, start walking miles and get up at 4:30 every morning and start walking 18 to 20 miles a day?
I was doing that at one time.
Yeah, so if you
That's
want to
how. That's how. No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so if you want to do things like that, you're going to have to sacrifice and reject pleasure as the main goal and sacrifice things that you don't want to do
Sure.
to be able to do that.
You got to. You're going to give up your peace to a degree. You're going to give up your time and some of your friends here and there, and you're gonna sacrifice. There's no success without sacrifice.
Mhm.
Mhm.
One of my favorite things I tell the college kids is success is not going to drive up in your driveway. You got to walk out there to it. You
Yeah,
got to walk out there to it. I mean, that could be in running and power walking. That could be in football. It could be anything you want to do. You got to go to it.
mhm.
And it takes effort to get there.
They say no
I
man.
wanted to be the best I could be. That's what I wanted to do. That was in my mindset. I wanted to be the best I could be.
Yeah.
And that's what I did.
They say no man stumbles uphill on accident. You don't start.
Absolutely.
You don't start going uphill or actively searching for success on accident. You have to take that effort and push yourself to
You
go
do.
uphill.
That's exactly right. And what we say down here, it's just what you're saying. The way we say it is, the man on top of the hill didn't fall there. He had to climb the hill.
Exactly.
And that's true. That's true. And so it's the motivation of what you want out of life. And I make the best out of it. If I talk to people, the first thing I'm gonna make them laugh. I always like to tell jokes and so forth, and I make them laugh. I was doing that this morning. So I'm more of a prankster than you ever know. I was telling this morning I had a styrofoam box like you would get on takeout for food, and I was telling them I cooked this last night. And they said, "What is it?" They kept looking at it. They said, "What is it?" I said, "It's grasshopper." Y'all want some grasshopper? They said, "Man, I ain't eating no damn grasshopper." I said, "He just tried," but it wasn't grasshopper. It was just something I made up, And they all got a kick out of that, I tell them it was grasshopper. Nobody gonna eat that, But that's the kind of stuff we do,
The subtle things in life bring you joy.
Absolutely. Well, you hear somebody else, you've made somebody laugh, you made somebody cut up and smile. That little bit might help them get through the day. I don't know,
Right.
But I'm a prankster about stuff. I really am. I cut up and do jokes on stuff people all the time. So that's just my natural DNA,
Yeah.
So
Bringing that message of positivity, whether it comes from a joke or talking with someone,
that's right.
or going
Absolutely.
going on walks, and then through that, by proxy of that, you start building relationships with people, doing those things.
Oh, I got what you might not have caught this, but when I would walk around this city all the time, and I walk in the street early in the morning. Now, sometimes I have to get on the sidewalk because the traffic gets so bad. But I started out for a long time in the street. And for a long period of time, people would come by, either wave or toot the horn or whatever they did. And what I always used to do to them was I don't know if you can see, I used to take my finger, arm, and point at them. I would point at the people. And when the newspaper did my story, I made sure that I tell them that was my way of recognizing you. I never did wave at people. I would always point, and I said, that's the way that I recognize you. And then people read that, they started doing it back to me. They would come down the street like the garbage truck when they point the finger out the door. See, that became a very focal point of the whole town here, It's just doing that little thing. But that was just my natural DNA. That's what I do.
Mm-hmm.
So that would turn out to be something that was very good. So
yeah. So earlier, after you told us a little bit about your story, about the hunting incident, I was wondering if you could walk us through and give us a little bit more details about like what truly happened. Was it like you and your cousin were hunting and then he accidentally shot, or like what happened that set up that scenario of you getting shot?
Yeah, I can tell you that. We were on my uncle and my father had a really good friend in my hometown, about 35 to 40 miles north of my hometown. And they had a big duck camp up there. This was a big farm, southern farm, big farm. And we went there that Friday night and we would cook steaks and we were having a good time. And I told my cousin the next morning, I said, come on, you hunt with me. And we've been hunted together before. So that morning we got into the truck. It was about 31 degrees, maybe 32. And we got to where we were going. We got into a Do you know what a John boat is, or a
Yeah.
flat boat, aluminum boat?
Uh-huh.
And he got in the front, I got in the back, and we were both paddling through the woods. There was a path cut out, and of course down here in the South they do this. It's set up for duck hunting. It was a little path through the trees, through the woods, and a flooded field. And when we got to the opening, the field was like a horseshoe. Flooded field looked like a horseshoe that you look. It had broken day, and we were shooting out of the boat. It was that many ducks that morning. It was like you couldn't have made a movie any more ducks than what we had that morning. We're shooting. I was excited. He was excited, and we kept shooting. And finally, I told him, I said, let's get out of the boat. Well, I got out on the left-hand side of the boat, and he got out on the right-hand side of the boat. There was the Armageddon. There was a mistake right there. I'm a left-handed shooter, shooting left to right, swinging left to right. He was right-handed, shooting right to left.
Yeah.
And we were shooting, and I told him, I said, I'm going to walk up this tree line and get way on up there, see if we can bounce the ducks back and forth to each of us. And I walked away. I started walking away. Well, I think he pulled down on the ducks were just falling in on top of us. They were just falling. We didn't have to blow a duck call or nothing. They just falling. And I think he picked up the same duck that I saw him come in. And when I turned toward him to shoot the duck, he turned toward the duck, and the duck dropped, and he just lost track of where I was.
Okay.
And he pulled. I could have easily probably have pulled the trigger on him, but he shot before I did, and it felt like somebody hit you over the head with a crowbar. I mean, as hard as they could. That was a gut. I mean, that was something that hit you hard, and my ears were ringing. It was just deafening ringing in my ear, and I got hit all over. It wasn't just one pellet went through my eye. I got hit all in the head, in the face, in my hands, and my arms. I got the full blast. And when I got up, the first thing that I thought, this is going to be bloody. So I put my gun under my arm, and I put my hands down, and there was no blood. It was just a drip, a little drip. And that probably calmed me down a lot.
Yeah.
And then eventually, after about a minute or two, the ringing in my ears went away. Everything went away. And I'm standing there, I'm standing. I said, well, I couldn't see any blood and so forth. Now, my cousin that shot me, I hollered at him. I said, you shot me. Now, he froze. He was like a Coca-Cola bottle sitting on that table that wouldn't move. He didn't say a word. He didn't move. He didn't do anything. So after I got composed. Now they knew where we were, but they didn't know exactly where we were. Somebody would have eventually found us. But I said to myself, we got to get out of here. I knew that we had to get out. So I put him in the boat. He still hadn't said a word. And I got in the boat and I paddled out. So I always tell people, I laugh about it now. I said, I'm shot. He's in shock. So I paddled out, In time we got back to the bank where the truck was, somebody heard the holler, because early in the morning like that, it's flat land where we are. It's very flat in the Mississippi Delta. And it echoes in the morning because it's cold and your voice travels. And they finally came over there and they saw what was happening, and they got us in the truck and they took us back to the camp. And my uncle they went and got my uncle and went to my father, and my uncle came in first, and he came and looked. He said, we got to go to the hospital now. He said, put on whatever you want to put on or whatever. He said, we're going to go. He said, if your father gets here before we leave, he can get in and go with us. If he's not, he's going to have to follow, get down there. And right before we left, my father came and he got in the car and we went back to my hometown, went straight to the hospital, and they had radioed ahead to get the eye doctor down there. And he examined me, and he had a really good friend of his that was in Ochsner's Clinic in New Orleans. He said, "We're going to send you to New Orleans right now." And he gave me some shots to knock me out. And we got in the car and we went to the airport and got on the plane and flew to New Orleans, where I had a 11-hour surgery.
Dang. Wow. So
Now, let me say this, and I'll end. The toughest thing, I stayed down there for 5 weeks. The toughest thing that I did, it wasn't necessarily the surgery, and it wasn't being shot. I had to lay in the bed flat, completely flat, like a 2x4. I had both eyes patched up. I did not turn over. I did not sit up. I did not move except just move my legs in the bed. For 2 weeks, I lay completely flat in one position. And that was the hell of the whole thing right there. Mm-hmm. That was bad. That was a tough thing to go through,
Especially being like
so,
an active
and that's,
person.
Yes. I mean, you think about it. You go lay on the bed completely flat and cover both of your eyes up and lay there for 2 weeks, don't move. You'll find out what I'm talking about. That was really tough. Really, really tough,
Yeah. So do you know, like, was it a 12 gauge that you got shot with? Because it was a shotgun, right?
12 gauge. Sure was. 6 Magnum, if you know what that is.
Wow, that's crazy.
In fact, you can't see that, but I still have a pellet sitting right here. It worked its way out of my head. It's sitting right there, and people touch it all the time. It's still sitting there after all these years. Yeah, it's still there. It's still right there.
That's crazy. So to go from that, and then you had a second near-death experience, right? So the doctor,
Yes.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but from what I understand, the doctor thought that you had kidney problems, so they gave you all this antibiotics. It ate your stomach lining, and then you had a bleeding ulcer, right?
Yes. And it was bad. The hole was as big as my fist, and they couldn't stop it. They couldn't stop it. They take me to surgery, and they couldn't stop it. And they tried to take me again, and they couldn't stop it. And they almost had to cut your stomach and staple it together. The surgeon at the hospital finally called a doctor, a Japanese doctor named Dr. Namahira, who had his own clinic, and he came over there while I was in surgery and took it over, and he finally got it to stop bleeding, and gave me a lot of blood for that.
Do you know what they did?
No, I don't. Okay. He's got something, they burn it, or they do something with they go down through your throat this way, go down to your stomach, and I guess it was like cauterizing it or whatever. But anyway, but he got it stopped. He got it stopped, and I lost a lot of blood. I mean, a lot of blood. He told me after all that was over with, I knew a lot of the doctors there at the hospital, and somebody just asked me yesterday, matter of fact, because he was from my hometown. I said, I think it was Dr. Davis or maybe Dr. Johnson. I'm not sure. He said, you got up that Sunday morning. See, when I got up, I couldn't move. I had gone the previous night to watch a college football game with my friends, and I was dizzy as hell, but I was not hurting. So at the time when I was married, my ex-wife was gone out of town. I could not move that morning. That's why I called my mother and my father to come get me, something's not right. Now, my mother was an RN in her life, and she was a surgical nurse, so she knew what was going on. And they came and got me to the hospital. But when it was all over with, the doctor told me when I was getting discharged, he said, look, I didn't want to tell you or them in the hospital when you got here. He said, but if you had laid in that bed that Sunday morning, you would have been dead by noon. Oh, wow. That's how far gone I was. Yeah, that's how far gone I was.
That's crazy.
So, like you
So
said, this second experience
these,
was a lot
yes, these
worse.
things make impressions. It'll make an impression on you now. I'm telling you, it really does. So that's what I tell people. I don't wish my journey on anybody. I really don't. Uh, I was lucky enough, maybe in good enough health, and maybe like they tell me now, that God's got another plan for you. Like they said, it just wasn't your time.
Mm-hmm.
He said, I've seen people that were better off than you leave out of this world. And he said, it wasn't your time, son. And maybe so. I believe that now because as you hear people say this, that it's amazing that you would do stuff like that and could survive that. So
Yeah. So I remember seeing a clip on your Instagram, and it was you talking about how your mom had told you, essentially, are you going to, overcome this, or are you going to let it beat
yes,
you, right? And so one of my
yes.
questions was, how was the impact of your mom and dad? How did that help you get through the stuff that you dealt with?
Yes. What she took after, let me say this, after I had 7 surgeries on my eye. And at that time, I always kept hope that they could fix my problem. And they didn't. And when we got home from the last surgery is the only time that I broke down and let my emotions get me, because I was such a hopeful that they could do this, and they didn't. My mother she let me she called it my pity party. She gave me 10 to 15 minutes, and finally she came in the room and sat down. And she looked at me. She said, "No, what are you going to do? Are you going to beat this, or is it going to beat you?" She said, "Make up your mind." Because mother didn't let you feel sorry for yourself. And ever since then, that is one of my mottos in life. Are you going to beat this, or is it going to beat you?
That's a strong motto.
And I kept it in my head every single day. I hear my mother saying this to me, what are you going to do? Are you going to beat this, or is it going to beat you? In other words, she's telling you, get up off your butt and let's go do something about it. And that's, as you get older in life, it becomes more pronounced to you that she was telling the truth the whole time, and it's just something you never forget. That's all.
No, I really agree with that, and it really resonates with me because, all of us, we're really big in learning about the Stoics, and one of their biggest teachings was don't suffer twice. So in your case, when you were, pronounced blind and they weren't able to fix it, why make it and suffer twice? Why make it even worse and be like, okay, now I'm gonna, sit on my butt and not do anything about it, rather than I'm gonna deal with what obviously I'm blind now, but still I'm gonna make the best of it and overcome what I can.
Yeah. Now, and I'm glad you said that, because I just thought about something in my recovery from the eye surgery, and I'm sitting at home when I had a big room, big king size bed. Here I was playing football and basketball, and I could catch the ball and so forth. At that point, my depth perception was way off. Okay. In other words, you could see a glass of water, you reach for it. Oh, you would eventually get it, but you missed it. So I sat in the bed because I was about a month from doing anything, trying to recover from all this. I would take a tennis ball and I throw it up against the wall and try to catch it with one hand. But I used to do this all the time, and I couldn't catch it. And I would take it and throw it and miss it. And I kept doing it, and I kept doing it, and I kept doing it. And finally, I started catching the ball. I throw it and catch it with one hand. I throw it and catch it with another hand, like that. And I got.
Looks like you're muted, Rusty. I don't know if that was purposeful or not.
Can you hear it now?
Yeah,
we can hear you. Yeah.
Okay. I think I might have lost your. Wait a minute. The video part, but can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. Well, anyway, I got where I could catch the ball again, and I started playing some basketball again, and I did all that. So that's one of the key things that I did, was to learn again how to catch a ball. That was the beginning of what I needed to do. That part, see.
Yeah, I mean, you
Yeah,
got to make
recover.
the best out of your situation. So
Absolutely.
doing
But
things like that.
that's part of the comeback. Okay. I look back now, that's what I was doing. I'm trying to regain what I lost.
Right.
And that's just, you know, a good thing to do. So, it's everything you go back and look at this had like you said, it had a purpose in life.
Right.
There's a quote that Seabass told me. Seabass is essentially our mentor. He kind of like runs the podcast. He's what started us off with the podcast. And
Hmm.
this is a quote from his friend in high school. And essentially, it was the worst thing that happens. So, the problem of something happening. So, in your case, like, with these fatal incidents, all these problems and all this stuff that happened to you is the greater comeback. So with all this bad stuff happening, it just made your comeback better to where now when, you're back and you're back and you're better and now you're playing basketball and you're doing all these things again, you could look back and be like, I was all the way back there, but now look what I'm doing now.
Absolutely. See, even back then, I wasn't giving up. You see, I was trying to regain what I had lost to be able to come back, and
Mm-hmm.
it all played in a good sense of what your life is about. You never gave up,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
that's so critical. Uh,
Yeah.
I didn't have to catch the ball and do all this stuff. I didn't have to go out there and walk and do all that, but I did do all that stuff.
Yeah, no, I think that's really important. There's another quote. It's your character is built upon what you do in positions of adversity. So when you're dealing with this adversity of, you had this incident with your eye and then your ulcer and stuff like that. So your character and, the way that you go about life was built upon what you did during those times of, okay, now I can't do this, so I'm going to have to focus on other things or something of that nature.
Who you are is how you respond.
Well, I would actually get mad at myself because it's just like one of the most frustrating things was, like I told you before, you would sit down and get a glass of tea. You couldn't grab, you didn't know where the tea glass was, or you grabbed for the fork and you were picking up something else, and you things that you learned in life that was so natural. All of a sudden, you had to relearn these kind of things. And I don't mean it was bad, but it was frustrating.
Mm-hmm.
And but you learn all that stuff and you learn to adapt. And now I don't have any. The only thing I would have problems with now, it's not a problem if you threw your. It's a little bitty thing. If you know how you go somewhere and say, "Here are the car keys," and you throw the car keys at me, I might catch it, but I might not catch the car keys.
Uh-huh.
But if you throw a football at me, I'm going to catch the football. If you throw a tennis ball, I'll probably get the tennis ball. But it's you learn some things, you learn to adapt and keep going. Everything is not perfect, but I would say 99% of it's perfect.
Mm-hmm. I like what you said
So
about how you would get mad at yourself for not
I
being
get
where
mad at
you were.
myself.
Yeah.
See, I put more pressure on me than anybody else would.
Mm-hmm.
um,
So
you go out here, and if you were walking or if you would do some of my training, well, I trained like football. I would do 3-man rolls, like we did football practice. I had a coach that was behind me doing this stuff, and if I would run sprints, and if I wouldn't feel like I was doing the sprint right or good enough, I go stay out there and do it, till I got it right.
mm-hmm.
I always tell them, you do things, to get it right. You don't do it just to get by. I wanted to be the best. So I wanted to get the best out of it, and that's just what I did. You
Mm-hmm.
know, so it's like staying after football practice, and the quarterback would throw to his wide receiver after practice to get the timing down, to get it all right. Like
Right.
they still do that in the NFL, and that's things that I would do like that.
Mm-hmm. That resonates with me. Like we're both football players,
Right?
and one of the biggest things is putting in that work to make sure you're as close to perfect as humanly possible. And
Absolutely.
another thing, when you said you would get mad because you weren't like living up to what you used to be, and you wanted to be back there.
That's right.
A while back, I had a pretty bad injury with my ankle, and it wasn't broken or anything, but it was like a really bad sprain. I mean, and it was super close. The guy landed on it. It like bent inwards, and I was out of football for the rest of the season. And it took maybe 2-3 months to where I was finally able to start playing basketball and start playing football and doing all these other things again. And what you said kind of resonated with me because I felt the same way. I was getting mad at myself that I couldn't be back to where I used to be
Yeah,
when
You,
that injury happened.
yeah, that I've experienced that same thing, and that's actually a really good problem to have. You know, having that problem of being mad at yourself for not being where you should be is one of the greatest problems you have because then you're going to continuously work to where you want to be.
that is absolutely correct. And I would say, uh, I probably have came back and conquered most of the things that had happened to me. Uh, I have from that's why, let me say it like this. That's why they like my story so much that we wrote the book and wrote a screenplay is you walked it you have you have a starting point and you have a fall. You fail. Then you have a rise and then you have triumphs. And I think I have pretty well conquered, maybe more so than anybody ever thought, that I would come back and do this stuff. And I tell them all the time, you see, you don't know me. You think you know me, but you don't know me. You know,
Right.
people tell you you're too old, you can't do that. I said, well, you're talking about yourself. You're not talking about me.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
You they think immediately that they can't do it, so they assume that you can't do it.
Yeah, a lot of people
And
have to.
that's
No, go
yeah,
ahead.
no, and that's just dead wrong. It's dead wrong.
Right.
Yeah, a lot of people have to realize that there's many different ways to the top of the mountain. So every
It
journey
is
is going to be different in some sense, whether, they go through all these challenges or, they go through all these pitfalls. No matter what, every journey is different. And that's what's so unique about the journey to the top of the mountain or the top of the hill is that you're
absolutely
going to go through these situations that are going to define you. And people are going to be like, why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? But you have to realize that it's your journey. Obviously, be able to accept criticism and take it in and, that you could apply that to to your journey, but that shouldn't be, your main end all is what other people say. It's your journey. And
no.
one of the
I
biggest things,
Yeah,
go ahead.
no. I have my own clock up here in my head of knowing what I can do and how I'm going to do it, and somebody else might not do it the way I am, and that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But I chart my own course of what I'm going to do,
Yeah.
and usually I get there. I get there. I'm going to get there one way or the other.
Yeah, that's one of the most respectable things as a person and especially as a man is seeing someone, whether they have a different journey or not, is seeing them on that journey is something that I really respect and admire about most people is that hopefully when they're on this journey that they realize that it doesn't really matter what people are saying about their journey.
No,
Mm-hmm.
you cannot. You can listen to people, and you can hear what they have to say, and some things will make sense to you. I mean, I'm not beyond somebody telling me something, and I think about it for a little bit and say, you know what, maybe he got a good point there, and you will explore that a little bit and say, well, maybe I ought to change that a little bit. But at the same time, somebody tells you something and it's not right, I would thank them, but I'm going to do it my way. You got to be, like you said, you have to be man enough to take somebody's criticism or listen to what they say. That don't mean they're always right, but you listen. You learn by listening, not by talking.
Right. You have to do what Bruce Lee said. You have to empty your cup. You have to
You,
take in
that's
what
the truth.
you have to take in what they say, and not all the time it's gonna be right, and not all the time it'll fit to your path and your story, but
No,
you still have to listen. You gotta
Yeah.
respect what they have to say.
but you said something that was really true, and I've told people you have got to be able to take criticism,
Yeah. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, so
constructive criticism.
Right.
exactly. And
You
another,
you have to. Yeah.
sorry, another Bruce Lee quote. Devin just mentioned one, but you can take what's good and discard what's bad. So if someone is telling you something, you could take what's good from it and you could apply it to your story or your journey, but you could also discard what's bad about it. So if there's something that you don't think will help or you don't agree with, then you can throw that part out and just apply what you do think will help you.
True. Absolutely. And you know, I guess the whole thing in a nutshell is everybody is going to have at some point in your life you're going to have a journey that you're going to get on, whether it's good or bad or things happen to you. It is how you come back in life that defines who you are. You might get knocked down 1, 2, 3, 4 times, but you got to get up the fifth time. You got to get up,
Exactly.
and you know everybody will have it. I have mine, and I don't know everything about y'all, but you probably will have something if you already hadn't had something. Something serious in your life that goes on, and you have to be focused and deal with it. The sooner you face your challenges and so forth, the sooner that it will get over.
Yeah.
Right.
And you can't, pushing it to the back burner. Only at some point in time, you got to turn around and look at it. It might be 8 months, a year down the road, but when you turn around, that problem's still there. Cross the bridge now, and it will leave you. The best way to conquer your fear, is to walk right into it.
You'd rather conquer it sooner than later.
That's right. There's nothing to really fear but fear itself.
Mhm.
And people need to turn and face your fear, and you won't have it no more. Your fear. Okay, here's a perfect example. When they wanted me to do a speech. Well, I always used to be petrified growing up is making a speech in front of a classroom. Well, this was a little bit bigger than a classroom, and I walked out there, and after about 10 minutes, it all kind of left me. See, now I don't have a problem talking to people. I don't have a problem getting on stage. I don't have a problem doing anything. And I always tell people, that I try to get them to make a video or so forth, and they are petrified as hell of getting on the camera. I said, but that's your gut talking to you that you can't do it. If you go do it, it will leave you, and all of a sudden it becomes just like drinking a glass of water.
Right. I mean, when you speak from your heart,
That's right.
The words will just come naturally to you.
They come naturally, and I tell people, don't be fearful. Yeah, you might be feared at first, but it's going to leave you. It becomes very simple to do.
Yeah.
So now, what I was 6, 7 years ago, the lights don't bother me. Microphones don't bother me. I've had cameras put in my face. It doesn't bother me. Those fears or those deals in life do not affect me at all.
Yep. You
Yeah.
conquered your fear, and you now
Absolutely.
you now control it.
You control the fear instead of the fear controlling you.
100%.
Yeah. So,
These I always tell people that. So anyway,
yeah, no, I think in every situation in life, and every person deals with it. Every person has had fear, has dealt with fear, but it depends on, what you do with said fear. So if I'm scared of like going up on stage and, I don't want to go talk in front of people. Many people have dealt with that fear before, but they go about it a certain way. So you have to realize that you need to put fear in the passenger seat and drive the car, not let fear drive the car
Absolutely.
and you're in the passenger seat. And with
absolutely,
with courage,
absolutely,
with
yes.
courage, it isn't the absence of fear, it's just putting fear aside.
Well-
You're going to have that fear.
You hit the nail on. You hit it right on square of the nail. Now, I would tell you what people tell me all the time. I've never opened my mouth and said this about myself. I am telling you what other people have told me. Number one, you're a gladiator, because I went out and I trained so hard out there in the streets that, I mean, people saw me. The town saw me. They still see me, just not as deep as I used to be. Number two, they said, you know, it's what you said your name is on your show. They said you are the warrior, because I don't care if it's 100 degrees out there, if it's 0 degrees, I'm going to go out there and do my exercise in the morning. I said, guys, if it's cold and you're scared of the cold, that's because you ain't got the right clothes to wear. You know, I'm out there,
Right.
and you know, being and the one that has always touched me. They have called me around here. They said, you know, off of the movie Rocky. You remember the original movie Rocky?
And he's running.
He's running in the street. He said, you know what? You are the real Rocky. That's you. Because I did it, and I did it, and people would, you know, honk the horns and they wave and all that. That is what comes when you do what you're supposed to do. And that is the people of this town talking to me, not what I think of myself. Okay.
That's amazing.
I've been told this over and over and over again, you know, and they said, you are the real Rocky in life, because, you know, you had the fall, you came back, you got in the street, and you did this in front of everybody. And most people in my hometown here in the college town, they know the story. They know what happened. It's been out here in the papers, and even the university over here. I've been on TV. They got a TV station. I've been in that TV station, and it was on their campus TV. These people know what it is, and if people want to ask me questions, I'll answer their question. If they want me to talk, I'll talk to them. You know, none of that bothers me at all. I think I'm trying to help people, you know, overcome bad situations in their life, and that's what you got to do.
Yeah. They say life is 10% what happens to you, 90% how you respond to that. And
bingo,
what you've done and how you've responded is,
I mean, amazing.
Almost perfect. I mean, nobody can be perfect, but what you've done is amazing. You've helped.
Well, you know what I always tell them?
People.
Yes, I always tell them, you strive for excellence, but you're not going to hit excellence, so you settle on perfection. And that's what I've kind of done. It's just the power of the story has driven people to, you know, people always told me, you know, man, you motivate me. I said, I'm motivating you, but I'm just telling you what happened in life. I'm not trying to, you know, pat you on the back and throw candles at you. I'm just telling you what happened to me. And if that resonates with you, then, you know, use it to your advantage.
And how you started your whole journey, you weren't even trying to.
I was not trying.
Other people.
No, I was not. I was doing this when I started out. I was doing it for me. I wanted to know if I was good enough to come back and capture what I should have done at a young age. They asked me that in the newspaper, and I told them that.
They say the brighter your light shines.
Well, it was just the internal desire to do it. It was the internal spirit to prove it to yourself. It was the dedication that played out of doing it every day and doing it well. And the most amazing thing about it, I guess, is, you know, it was naturally I was in the street out there every morning, but it was also, in a way, it was the people saw this going on every day, and that's where to this day, I guess they built a respect for you, because you're not gonna miss. I was out there, and of course I don't do it on Sunday, but I'll be out there in the morning, and I'll be out there doing the same thing. And I go out there and it's dark. Then I'll take a picture and I put it on Facebook, and I say, look, guys, you know, you got it. This is it. And they love it when I tell them, you know, it's 4 degrees and they can't believe that you're out there. I said, well, you only get cold if you're standing still, and I'm not standing still. You know, make a lot of sense out of it. Yeah, always moving. So all that it's just it's a natural progression of life that people see and they appreciate it and them and I appreciate them. I mean, without the people around you telling you all this stuff, you know, that is your reward for what you're doing, what you do, you know.
Yeah.
Right.
No, something I had to say was I really respect what you said about, you're doing this for yourself and not for other people, because that's like the biggest thing on your journey is you need to do it for yourself. And as a byproduct of you doing that, you may influence people. But if you're doing it to, please other people or to get the attention of other people, then you've missed the understanding of what you're doing it for.
Correct. You got to remember, and I've told this 100 times. They told me to write the book, guys. I'm not a book author. I'm not a writer, and I refused to write the book. I kept on doing what I'm doing, but I refused to write the book, and it kept growing where you got to tell this story. And it kept on to finally, I agreed to write the book. And but that was 2 years later. I mean, I wasn't looking to write a book. It just kept coming to me, and they kept coming at me. And finally, they're knocking on the door so much. I said, well, maybe you need to open the door,
Yeah.
and I did. And then one thing came to another, and I didn't know. I didn't ask the USA Today to come down here, and I don't know if you've seen that video or not, but they shot it. Uh, it's still out there. There's a lot of other stuff out there too. Some of the stuff you had never seen, but I got them.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't ask the producer to come and do documentaries. He showed up in the gym one day because I knew at that time that people were calling me and asking me. And he came in there and he had on his T-shirt about producer, and I said, "Oh hell, here we go." But we made them. We made them. But they always came to me. I didn't go looking for them.
Uh-huh.
And that's kind of the truth of how it all started. They just kept knocking the door, knocking the door, knocking the door,
Mhm.
and
It's like what you said earlier with the law of attraction. It'll all just come to you.
it comes to you. And I guess if you want to look at it from my point of view, I guess maybe one of the highlights would be that they stuck it in the Associated Press, which means it went to the wire service. That means the story was in the Dallas Morning News just as much as it was the LA Times. Okay. It went everywhere. That's what the Associated Press does, go to the wire service.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all out there, And I took when I was walking back in the big time all that time, I would stop. People would stop me here and there and talk to me. And I always took pictures, but I took pictures for memories. Okay, memories. I'm a big picture person. I got big cameras. I take pictures, and now it becomes very valuable of the pictures that you took. I took like 638 pictures over the years, and I got them on an iPad. But that is a very, you know, moment that I look back now because the picture is worth 1,000 words.
Mm-hmm.
Every picture has a story behind it,
Mm-hmm.
and I could pick them out and tell stories all day long. But I have them, and I wouldn't. You wouldn't. I was thinking enough to take the pictures for memories of people that stop and talk to me, and I would post some of them and give them kudos for stopping and talking to me. I always thank people. I always talk to people online. I post memes and stuff every day, and people respond to it and they say good morning. That's how I started. I started out posting it, and I said good morning, folks, and that was years ago, and I still do it this morning. I say good morning, folks, and the people started answering me. After a while, people started answering me, and then it mushroomed, and that mushroom, and that's people like to be recognized, and I recognize them, and it works.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of things that just kept falling in place, and that was one of them. It fell in place.
Right. I have a pretty big question for you.
Okay.
Who inspired you? Who was your hero, and what inspired you to do what you did?
Who inspired me?
Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I inspired myself.
Yeah.
You know, I could think about a sports person or a football player or those kind of people, and I probably could do that. But my thought at the time, I had to inspire myself to go out there and do this stuff.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
And once I started doing it, I realized that I had a knack to doing it. It's like the guy from ESPN in Dallas, Texas that day. He told me, he said, "You got a God given talent." He said, "You need to use it." And I said, "Well, I'm trying. I am." And I realized that I had a knack for this stuff. Uh, being as light footed as I am quick footed, say I am double twitch muscles. They told me I had double twitch muscles, which means I'm very quick on my feet, and I am. And I had the speed, and I realized that I had a knack for this stuff. So I was inspiring myself by what I was accomplishing and keeping my feet on the ground to keep improving to be the best that I could be. So therefore, I was a tunnel vision about it. Okay,
Yeah. No, I think
and
go ahead.
no, I just said that, and that was the driving force behind me. And I could probably sit here and think about a pro athlete, football or whatever that was great that did stuff, but I was kicking my own butt and getting out there and doing it. And so I would have to be honest and say I was inspiring myself
Mm-hmm.
because I even got a little amazed at what was going on. Maybe the more I walked and the more I raced, the better I got, the better I understood what was going on out there. And it was like I'm figuring this out. You know, I'm doing it. It's working. So let's keep on improving and keep on stay with what you're doing. And you know, I have that attitude out there is every good athlete, whether you're Tom Brady or whoever you are in basketball, you have a mean streak in you. Okay. You have that competitive mean streak, and I got one too. And that's you use that to your advantage
Mhm.
while you're racing or if you're playing a football game. Your attitude is you're going to take the other person down. You're going to beat their butt. You're going to do what you got to do to win. And I had that same attitude about it. You know,
You have to believe in yourself and be competitive
you
if you want to succeed.
absolutely. It's a competitive spirit. It's not a mean spirit in your everyday life. It is your competitive spirit out there. You know, take no prison and leave nothing behind. So,
Right.
and that's what I tried to do out there. So I would have to say myself for that question.
No, I like that answer. That's a great answer.
Yeah.
So,
No, I think that's really important because obviously there's people who have inspired us and, who have helped us on this journey. But being able to, rely on yourself and not be codependent on others is
no,
something that'll help you throughout anything in life because you won't need to look to someone for help when you could just rely on yourself.
no, I'm a very independent person. You know, I know how to take care of myself. I know how to survive. I've been through every bad situation in life that probably can be, and I use that to my advantage. Uh, you know, I know how to cook. I know how to wash clothes. I know how to do all this stuff. I don't need anybody to do it for me. It's not that you appreciate other people around you or what you're doing. I'm just saying I know how to do this stuff.
Right.
So
You
you
don't.
learn. It's a learning curve in all this. I can tell you, it's a learning curve.
In the end, you only have to rely on yourself.
That's it. I rely on myself, and I don't. I don't. I don't follow the leader too much. You know, even when I was in high school and my friends we would all do things and they would go out and want to do something else and get in trouble. I'd walk away from it. You know, I knew that was the line in the sand. Even though we all good friends and all that, but I wasn't gonna get in trouble with them because they wanted to go do this stuff. You know,
That's powerful.
yeah, you got to stop. You know, you got to stop, and I did, and I did. You know, so anyway, but
Another question I had for you.
Okay.
You said you were pushing 78,000 miles.
Yes. Yes.
Do you have like an end goal that you want to hit?
100,000.
100,000? That's quite the milestone, quite the goal.
And I'm gonna be honest with you. It's tougher than you think, because now if I was walking today like I was years ago, I'd have hit this already. But see, when you get older, you start feeling this stuff. Okay. So what I do now, I do every morning. I'll do 6 to 7 miles. Where I was walking 18 to 20, you have to do it to prolong your legs and your knees,
Right.
and because that's a lot of wear and tear on your body. So it works out to be, I can put in, 1,000 miles every 5 months, and that's the longer version of what I want to do. But you realize that to go out there and do like I did, that's gonna hurt you, and I don't want to do that. I want to. I take it easy, I do it, but then I wait till the next day to do some more and do some more, and that longevity is probably what's gonna make me get it.
I believe in you. I think you can get that.
Oh yeah, you got it.
Well, I made a couple of caps years ago that's in a box over there that it says 100,000 miles, and the day that I'm gonna break it, I'm gonna put the cap on. I had that planned out too. See, it's still in the box, it's still in the bag. It looks brand new, but I'm saving that cap for that special day, and hopefully I can get there. Okay. But I'm over 75% there, so I'm like I told him on Facebook here about 2-3 weeks ago. I said I'm not there yet, but I'm staring it down though.
Yeah, getting close.
Getting close. That's what I'm doing.
Soon, just soon. Another thing I wanted to ask you. You said you got that gold medal in marathons. How many?
Yeah.
If you had a ballpark, how many marathons do you think you competed in over the years?
No, I did 10 professional marathons.
Dang, how do you know like roughly how long they took you?
But to do a marathon,
Yeah.
roughly 6 hours.
Yeah, a marathon is no joke. That's a lot of work.
Yeah.
That's why you stay in shape. That's why you worked out as much as you did, because of your endurance. And it's also, you got to know how to race it. You got to know when to hit it, to build up your time. You got to know when to pull back to be able. You're still doing it, but you can rest your body a certain way, but you got to save something for the end.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not. You got to know what to do out there, and that's what I'm talking about. You figured out the knack of what you had to do. It's just like football. It's strategic, and you better be in shape, because you could just completely give out there. It's hard.
Yes.
See, when you train, it's not about only the training. It's also getting your proper rest. It's about getting up at the same time every day, doing it. It's about how you eat. It's all that goes in together. You got to have it. You got to have the right intake of food that you do.
That's true.
Yeah. Marcus Aurelius, in his book Meditations, which was essentially his journal, he was talking about how every day he wakes up and he trains and he works out and does stuff like that. But then there was a quote that he also said was that he takes rest days because rest days are needed, which I find really important, because Marcus Aurelius, which is one of the greatest Roman emperors in history, was taking rest days because everyone needs them.
You have to have that day of rest to let your body recycle and get into what you wanted to do.
Yeah, I think a perfect example of everyone needs rest is even when God was creating the earth on the seventh day, that was the day that he rested. So from a person point of view, from, a philosopher or anyone in general, to even God, rest is needed.
That's why I never train on Sundays. That
Mhm.
was just I picked that day out because of that to rest and not do that, and I stuck with it to this day. I didn't do nothing today, and but you have to have that day of rest to let your body rest, let your legs, whatever, recycle, and it actually helps you in a lot of ways. Is to go up, to
Hmm.
rejuvenate yourself.
Yeah,
You you can't do it every day like that. It'll burn you out if you do.
that's true. It's needed. It's important if you want to succeed.
Absolutely. So it's been a good journey, guys. It's not something I wish on anybody, but the whole thing in a nutshell is if you want it, you go after it and you work for it and you put the time in and you sacrifice, you see where you can go.
Yeah.
I mean, it's your journey. It's unique to you,
It's your journey.
and what you do is gonna be different to everybody else. But no matter what, the same thing like stands. It's if you want it, you have to get it. You have to go after
You
it. You
got
have
to
to
go
put
get it.
that
That's
effort
right.
in.
Yeah.
And that's what the whole key is it's your journey and somebody could walk it with you, but you got to do the work yourself.
Exactly.
And that's the mindset of what you got to do is to block them all out and do what you need to do.
100%.
That's how you're gonna do it, guys.
Yeah,
That's all
just
I can tell you.
do what you believe will help you along your journey. But other than
Absolutely.
other than that, I think it was really great talking to you. And uh, Devin, do you have anything else to say?
No, I mean I've covered everything I wanted to say. I'm
Yeah.
glad we could have you on. I
Well,
mean, it's
Well, I appreciate it, guys, and there's one day if you want me to do this again, we can get into a whole nother segment of the races and what it took and the places that I went to
oh, we'd love to
and
do that.
the
yeah,
people that you met and the different types of races. I mean, let's face it, you're in Los Angeles. Los Angeles is a different race than New York.
Hmm.
Okay.
yeah,
Boston's a different race than Dallas, Texas. And that's a nice thing to get into because they wasn't all the same. I can tell you that terrain was not the same.
Right.
yeah. No, we definitely love to have you back on, especially after hearing how close you will get and how close you are to that 100,000 checking in and
Oh
however
yeah,
long and seeing how close you get and just
I'd be
having
glad to do that. Anytime, you got my email too, but anytime y'all want to reach out and ask me or get on, I'm perfectly fine with that. I would do that and love to talk and uh, I can get into the story even more.
hmm
We were touching on what happened and how you survived it and what you did, but there are other aspects of this whole thing that people know. It's a real, if you I know you can't see this, but if you saw the screenplay, you would see the stuff. It's all about details and what happened, and it took us 6 months or so to write this thing,
Right.
yeah,
and
and
it's
eventually in the future, getting to see, because correct me if I'm wrong, but you guys are making a movie right now, right?
yeah. We actually finished doing the duck hunting scene get shot last Monday.
Oh wow.
Nice, but yeah, having an update on that and eventually when it comes out, being able to see that would be amazing.
Well, they've always let me get this out of this. They always like the story because well, there's a couple of reasons. One of them is they don't. It's not a. It's not full of smoke and mirrors and bombs and cars flipping and blowing up. This is all pure raw talent out there, and it's not a heavy monetary film to make like some movies, like what is it, Mission Impossible? They kept doing,
Oh yeah.
you know, running all. They have to do all this stuff, but this is not all about that. This is the like they said. This is the Rocky type movie. That's what they're trying to bring back. Is that down to earth thing? Everything doesn't have to be smoke and mirrors and bombs and AI. And it's not a lot of to them. It's not a lot of a cost. It is money, but in the movie sense, it's not a lot of money.
Hmm. You're just portraying somebody's real life.
That's true. You're talking. they always said they always like the natural ability of what you do out there is what they're looking for, and that's what we're going to try to give them.
That's amazing.
So we just jump out there and do what we got to do. But it took a couple of years to get here. Now it wasn't like it was overnight.
Yeah. Just like
You know,
that journey.
Gotta
No,
start
you know,
somewhere.
people. Yeah, people think that the you can do a movie in a couple of months. No, they don't have an idea what you went through. To get here.
Uh-huh.
It's a lot of process, a lot of talking, a lot of writing, a lot of you know picking out music and helping to do it anyway. And going, it takes a long time. You know, um, I read the Mission Impossible. It took them 5 years to make that thing. So it is a process, and I understand that you probably understand it more than most people, but the process is what it is, and you have to go through the process. You're not going to shortchange that at all.
Exactly.
You gotta love the journey, love the
You got to learn
process.
the journey. You got to love to learn it because that's where you are, and that's what you got to do.
Exactly.
Well,
So
anyway, it was great to talk to you. Great to do a Zoom with you. Hopefully, get to do that in the future. But
Yeah, I mean, continue inspiring people. We loved having you on.
yeah,
Loved hearing your story, and we would love, like Jacob said, we would love to have a part 2 to this.
yeah, no, hearing your journey was truly amazing. And
well, I
respect you.
appreciate it, and look, anytime you want to reach out to me, I'm not one of those guys that turn you off. I'm a people person. That's the way I am most of my life. You can email me or send me a message. I'm going to answer you. I answer people,
Mhm.
and keep you informed. And I will, I love to do another one. It's just I love to get out here and talk and tell people the story and get more into the story
Yeah,
of how a person survives, something that I did, and
Right.
and it's all true about it. It's all true. You know,
Mhm.
uh, one day we'll get to the next stage one day, and I'll tell you about the man that had no legs, was a war veteran, had no legs, in a wheelchair, and he helped me when I needed help, and he knew it.
Oh wow.
That's another whole story, and we'll get into that one day.
yeah.
I mean, the story's full of stuff like that.
And maybe next time we could tell you a little bit about our story and our journey to getting here.
Well, I'm looking at this thing. You send me something of your podcast picture or whatever. See, I don't know if you do on Facebook. I put these things out, and it goes all over the world,
Oh yeah,
and that's what I help people like that. I go out there. There's a guy in Boston that almost died of cancer, and I've been on his podcast show twice. But I'll take his stuff and put it out there on the thing where everybody you pop. So I believe in everybody helping one another because together you become strong.
Right.
If you don't, and I all I do is just do it, guys. That's all I do. I just do it for everybody. That's just me.
yeah, and
We would love that. Like, thank you.
yeah, we
for-
respect you for that. But anyway, to close out, it was great having you on, and maybe in the future we could get you on again.
Yeah, we'll stay in touch. Can't wait for
Yes,
that part 2.
yes, I'll do that, and I appreciate you guys tremendously, and I hope y'all take care of yourself.
You too.
Thank
Have
you.
a good
You
one.
too. Have an amazing
Thank
day.
you, guys. Y'all take care, everybody.
Mhm.
You
Bye
too.
bye.
God bless.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Well, that kind of concludes it with Rusty Nasser.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah, thanks for coming on once again. It was really cool and great opportunity.
yep. Thank you guys for tuning in. Like, subscribe, follow us on Instagram. We'll see y'all later.